August 22, 2025. Light rail ride turns deadly. On August 22, 2025, Irina Zarutska, 23, a refugee from Ukraine, boarded a Charlotte light rail train. At roughly 9:50 p.m., surveillance footage shows DeCarlos Brown Jr. suddenly stand behind her, pull out a knife, and stab her multiple times, including once in the throat. She collapsed. He exited calmly at the next stop. The knife was later recovered. She died. Brown is 34, diagnosed with schizophrenia, homeless with at least 14 prior arrests. He served 5 years in prison for armed robbery and was released in 2020. Since then, he'd had multiple run-ins with law enforcement. In January 2025, Brown called 911 repeatedly, claiming a man-made material was controlling him. Effects like eating, walking, speaking. He was arrested, then released without bail. A judge ordered a mental health evaluation in July, but it never happened before the attack. After the killing, Brown was charged in state court with first-degree murder. The U.S. Department of Justice then filed a federal charge under 18 U.S.C. Section 1992 for death on a mass transit system, if convicted federally. Maximum penalty includes life or death. Because of his past and warnings, many are asking, how was Brown free? Why was the psychiatric evaluation delayed or possibly skipped? How do policies around bail, mental health, and criminal justice allow someone with these red flags to roam free until tragedy strikes? This part examines mental illness and the justice system. Nothing here excuses violence. It's about understanding and prevention. DeCarlos Brown Jr., now 34, carried a documented history of schizophrenia. Police records show at least 14 arrests since 2011. Assault, robbery, disorderly conduct. Each time, courts ordered evaluations. Each time, treatments slipped through the cracks. Schizophrenia isn't a split personality. It's a disorder where the brain misfires, creating voices, delusions, and distorted reality. Many live safely with proper treatment, but without consistent medication or therapy, reality and paranoia can blur to dangerous levels. In January 2025, Brown called 911 repeatedly, claiming a man-made material was implanted in his body, controlling how he walked and ate. Officers arrested him. A judge ordered a psychiatric evaluation for July 2025. It was never completed. Court records showed the evaluation was delayed, then quietly fell off the docket. With no hold order and no inpatient commitment, Brown was free. Still untreated, still symptomatic. U.S. law asks, is a person competent to stand trial? Can they understand charges and assist in defense? That is different from an insanity defense. Brown had never been found incompetent in past cases, so judges couldn't hold him indefinitely. Experts estimate nearly a quarter of America's unhoused population lives with serious mental illness. Without stable housing, medication adherence collapses. Brown drifted between shelters and the street, a cycle of crisis and release. Forensic psychologist Dr. Philip Resnick explains, untreated schizophrenia with persecutory delusions can lead to unpredictable violence, but prediction is complex. Most people with schizophrenia, not violent. Brown's case is a tragic outlier, but it underlines the stakes of failed care. This isn't just one man's illness, it's a systemic failure. Courts, jails, mental health infrastructures. Brown faces first-degree murder in North Carolina and a federal charge under 18 U.S.C. Section 1992, which covers lethal violence on mass transit. Together, those charges allow prosecutors to seek life in prison or, federally, even the death penalty, though that decision is far off. Two legal questions dominate. Competency to stand trial asks, can Brown understand the proceedings and help his lawyers? Insanity at the time of the crime asks, was he unable to understand right from wrong when the stabbing occurred? These are separate issues. Someone can be competent today, but still plead not guilty by Reason of insanity for past actions. The court is expected to order a full psychiatric evaluation that will involve weeks of observation by forensic psychologists, interviews, past medical records, and standardized tests to gauge delusions, understanding of charges, and risk factors. If Brown's attorneys raise an insanity defense, they'll need to prove that during the stabbing he could not appreciate the nature or wrongfulness of his act. In North Carolina, that's a high bar, rarely successful. They may also argue diminished capacity to reduce potential sentencing. Prosecutors will emphasize Brown's calm exit from the train and his ability to discard the weapon, actions that suggest awareness of wrongdoing. They'll also point to his history of arrests to argue he understood legal consequences because the killing happened on a public transit system. Federal prosecutors have jurisdiction. A federal trial could follow or run parallel to the state case, and a federal conviction can bring life imprisonment without parole. This case sits at the intersection of mental health and public safety. Advocates argue it highlights the urgent need for a court-ordered treatment and better tracking of evaluations. Legal scholars warn it will test how the system balances civil liberties with protecting the public. Like Remembering Irina Zarutska, 2001 to 2025. Before headlines and courtrooms, there was Irina Zarutska, a young woman whose life told a story of courage and hope. Born in 2001 in Kyiv, Ukraine, Irina grew up loving music and travel. When Russia's invasion shattered her homeland, she sought safety in the U.S., arriving in Charlotte in late 2023. As part of the humanitarian parole program, friends say she carried a quick smile and spoke of rebuilding a life where art and community mattered more than conflict. She found work in a local cafe while taking English classes at Central Piedmont Community College. Colleagues recall her learning American slang and sharing Ukrainian pastries. She baked on weekends. She was known for translating news from home for other refugees and organizing small meetups to keep culture alive. On August 22nd, she was on her way to meet a friend after work when the unthinkable happened. Her death was immediate, sudden, leaving loved ones from Kyiv to Charlotte in shock. Her parents, still in Kyiv, received the call in the middle of the night. Ukrainian consular officials helped them obtain emergency visas to attend services. Across Charlotte, Ukrainian expatriates and American neighbors held vigils, singing both national anthems as candles flickered in solidarity. Local leaders pledged to examine gaps in transit security and mental health intervention. Activists are calling for a dedicated crisis response team to catch red flags earlier, hoping no other family endures what Irina has faced. Friends have launched the Irina Zarutska Memorial Fund, aimed at supporting refugee students pursuing English and community college studies. They say she would want other newcomers to feel the welcome she found here. Irina's story is more than tragedy. It's resilience proof that, even amid war and displacement, one person's kindness can ripple across continents.